Hello and welcome to SHRP Talk, the show by washed-up athletes for washed-up athletes looking to be their best self. On today's episode, we have an absolute bucket on the show. Izzy Higginbottom joined us. Izzy is coming off an All-American season at the University of Arkansas, where she was third in the country in scoring with 24.4 points per game. So we get into some of her accolades as well as just the culmination of her upbringing, high school, and college journey that ultimately led to this historic last season. We get into her upbringing in small town Arkansas and fall in love with the game of basketball, as well as her recruiting journey and ultimately having stops at the University of Missouri, Arkansas State, and then ultimately her final year at the University of Arkansas. So we get into her approach to the game, how she kept on improving throughout her career, not only from her basketball skill set, but also her mental approach to the game, her approach to the weight room and training room, and just all facets of what ultimately led to her development throughout her career, as well as getting into some things that's next for her as she wraps up her career. So she was awesome to sit down. Izzy was awesome to chat with, and it was good to reconnect and to just get into a glimpse of what her experience was and what ultimately led to her improvement and this last year at Arkansas. So plenty of good takeaways for hoopers, former athletes alike. Just great way to not only approach the game of basketball from a mental standpoint, but also some great ways to approach life and career beyond basketball as well. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you enjoy. Before we get rolling with today's episode, I want to take a minute to tell you about SHRP Training. Snyder Health, Recovery, and Performance Training is designed for former college athletes to improve their physical, mental, and spiritual health. For only $12 a month, you can choose a training plan that is catered to your needs, interests, and goals, with new programs delivered each month through the TeamBuilder app. You'll also receive 24/7 messaging and feedback from coaches, access to an exclusive Discord to continually learn and be encouraged by others, a 20% discount on Thorne supplements, and access to the SHRP Edge, the ultimate guide to upgrading your diet, sleep, and life. Iron sharpens iron, so let us help you become your sharpest self. Now let's go. Yeah, appreciate you hopping on. We can get into your background and some stuff, but first I gotta shout out some accolades just to let the people know what kind of hooper we got on. So this past year, honorable mention All-American, led country in total points, free throws made, at least regular season. 24.4 points per game, which was most in SEC, third most in the country. Somehow snubbed as not all SEC team.
Yeah.
As the leading scorer.
How does that work?
I don't know.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know how that works because, and then I was an AP All-American honorable mention. So, I mean, I guess we'll take All-American, recognition for conference.
For sure. Just don't quite add up.
Yeah. People were pretty upset about that. Probably more upset about it than I was, honestly.
Yeah. It's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
We can get your background a little bit. I know you from Batesville, right?
Yeah.
Originally
Small
town?
Yeah, small town. There's probably about 13,000. So it's not the smallest. Like, we definitely have smaller areas around us, like Newark, that's where Austin Reeves is from the Lakers. So yeah, that's about 15 minutes down the road from Batesville. But yeah, just a really tight-knit community. And I was born and raised there. Went to school at Batesville High School. And then my senior year at Batesville, actually, I set a Arkansas State playoff record for 57 points. So that's just kind of a little bit, a little glimpse into my high school career, I guess.
What did you average in high school per game? Do you remember like your senior year?
My senior year, it was 28 points per game.
Jeez.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the other years.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's all right, I guess.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What size of school was that in Arkansas? Like middle class, lower class?
Yeah.
How big of your school?
Yeah, about middle class. Our our classification was 5A. So
Okay.
like there's 1A, 2A, 3A. It goes up to, I think the highest is 6A now.
Okay.
So that's big.
Pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't huge, but it definitely wasn't like tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. Did you play other sports growing up? Was there a lot of athletes who played multi-sports, or was it just kind of focused on basketball?
There's a lot of athletes at my school and like on my team who were multi-sport athletes, because I know my sophomore year, that was the year we won the state championship, and I had a lot of teammates who like came from volleyball. So like they played volleyball, basketball, and track. And actually that year, I know when basketball season ended, I was really sad, and all my teammates were going on to track, and they were like, "Come try track with us." And I was like, "Okay," just because I miss y'all, and I'm not ready for you to leave. So I went and tried track, but I did that for like one meet, and I was like, "Yeah, this isn't for me. I'm gonna stick to basketball."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about AU? Who did you play for?
In AAU,
Did you play AU?
yeah, in AAU, because I played AAU for like 6 summers, and
Yeah.
I was with the Arkansas Mavericks, and then went to the Mavs Elite, which is a different organization, and then my last season play, we went back to the Arkansas Mavericks. We kind of made up our own team, but it was under the Maverick organization. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What first got you down the basketball route? Was it something from your parents, or did you have people to look up to, or what got you so deep down the basketball rabbit hole?
Honestly, I don't know, because my mom will tell you, like, she never pushed this onto me. Like, she never pushed sports in general onto me or my sisters. I was the only basketball player that came out of my family. I think I was actually the only college athlete, or D1 athlete at least, that came out of my family. And I really think it just came from watching others. I know when I was young, at recess, I was like really drawn to the basketball court because all the boys were out there, playing and scrimmaging, and I would get out there and I just wanted to be in there with them. So I think that's really where it started. I loved playing against the boys at recess, and then I just started watching it, and I fell in love with it and told my mom I wanted to do it, and she was like, okay. Like, I feel like every mom tries to let their kid get a little taste of everything that they're interested in, and I was like that. I played a little bit of softball, but I learned that I wasn't an outdoor heat type of girl. Like, I hated the summer.
Not in Arkansas. Some hot summers.
It's so humid too. Like, not just heat, but it's like humid. But yeah, so I was like, I love basketball. I'm gonna stick to it.
Did you have any like role models growing up that you love to watch? Anybody that you tried to mimic your game after, or just inspired your passion for basketball?
I think when I was probably in about 4th, 5th, 6th grade, it was really Kevin Durant. Like, he was my favorite player. And then I was introduced to Stephen Curry, and he quickly became my favorite player because I learned that he was the position that I was, and he did some of the things that I knew I could try to emulate, and yeah, I loved watching him. So
nice.
yeah.
And what was the recruiting experience like? When did you start getting interest and maybe realizing that you could play at the next level? What was that like?
Yeah. I think when I realized I could actually play at the next level, I was probably like 8th grade. Up until then, I had really just played basketball because I loved it, because I thought it was fun. I didn't play for any recognition. I didn't play because I felt pressured to. Like, I just genuinely loved playing the game. I didn't really think about pursuing it after high school. But my 8th grade year, my mom actually had like some of my coaches. I think one of my AAU coaches told her like, Izzy is a Division I player. Like she could really go somewhere with this. And me and my mom were like, what? Like seriously? You know? Like my mom was not the typical parent like bragging on her kid all the time. Like, oh yeah, my baby, she's the best. You know, like she was not like that. She was just like, what are you serious? Like, you know, like we're just having fun with this and we're just gonna see where it goes, you know. But I think that's when I really knew like, yeah, I do wanna see how far I can take this type thing. So that's how that went.
And then ended up what offers did you have outside of Missouri? Or did you consider other schools?
Yeah, so my 2 biggest offers when I was in high school was Mizzou and Oklahoma. And then I had a lot of other like mid majors. I did have A-State and Murray State. I had UT Martin. Those are the 3 that stick out the most to me because they were in my top 10 for sure. So.
Gotcha. And then I guess what made Mizzou stand out, just wanted to play at that level, or why'd you go with them over Oklahoma or any of those other schools?
Well, I went with them over Oklahoma because they had showed interest pretty early on, I guess. Like they were pretty quick with reaching out to me. Like I probably heard from them the summer after my sophomore year or like early junior year. And so that stuck out the most to me because Oklahoma didn't end up reaching out till like middle of senior year or something like that. So, or no, it was junior year, but it was later on. And so, but I knew I wanted to try and play at that level just because honestly, pride had probably went into it a little bit because I had people tell me and tell my mom, like, she won't go that high, you know, she won't play at that high of a level. And so, yeah, that was in the back of my mind, and I kind of wanted to prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just felt like it wasn't too far from home. It was SEC. Like, my family we've always been huge SEC people. So yeah, that's what drew me there.
Gotcha. And obviously ended up at Arkansas eventually. Was Arkansas like ever your dream school, or was that like a goal you had ever?
Yeah, Arkansas was definitely my dream to be a Razorback. I had grown up going to Razorback basketball games. I went to several like on my birthday, and yeah, that was always a huge dream, you know, when I would come over here to Bud and see the girls out there playing. Like I always pictured myself out there. Like I always dreamed of being out there. So definitely always wanted to be a Razorback, and when the opportunity finally came, I couldn't turn it down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What was the first year like at Missouri? I mean, first of all, just moving away from home and being away from home, but playing in the SEC at a high level where suddenly you're surrounded by a bunch of other gifted basketball players. What was that first year like?
It was a humbling experience. I'll tell you that. It was definitely,
yeah.
I wouldn't change any bit of it. If I could go back and not go to Mizzou, I wouldn't change that. I would still have gone there and gotten that experience, and because that was probably the most that I have grown over the past 4 years. And it was just because I learned the importance of mentality and, you know, having the right mindset going into something. I think I went into my freshman year really selfish and thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to prove. Like, I just went in with the wrong motivations, really. And once I realized that and pinpointed that in the second half of season my freshman year, that's when things really started to turn around, and I finished out a lot happier and a lot better performance wise. So I really learned a lot and matured a lot my freshman year, and I think that was just a huge growth year for me.
Yeah. I think all of us kind of I mean, we all played football in college and played a little baseball as well, but I think we all kind of have that where we go in with how our career is going to look, how this first year's going to go, like we're going to get all this playing time and stuff, and then you realize it's a lot harder when, you know, everyone's really talented at that level, and you have a lot to learn, so we can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, and I think some people don't have the patience with themselves to say, like, okay, it's okay to, like, sit back and learn, you know? I think young people especially just want to get it right off the bat, and they think that if they don't have it, or they don't have it perfected, like something's wrong with them, or like they're not meant to be there, which isn't the case at all. But it's just like, you know, it's a process.
Yeah, I mean, that probably goes back to your upbringing as well, because like you said, your mom wasn't super hard on you, whereas for kids whose parents are hard on them and then they're hard on themselves, like, I got to play at the next level. With NIL, I got to get some money and all that. So I'm sure that probably played a big role in just being raised well and being ready for that, to handle that as well.
Yeah, definitely, because like my mom never or my parents really never put pressure on me or expectations past even high school. Like, it was all on me to put in the work, and they provided me the finances and to be able to go play travel basketball and be seen where I needed to be seen. But like, when it came down to me, it was all because I loved playing basketball and I wanted it, you know. And I think now it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like I see a lot of parents who that's what they want for their kids, instead of really sitting them down and saying, like, is this what you want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So
how was your transition from high school to college? Did it feel like more than you expected, time commitment wise? I know Brandon can probably talk about this, playing at D1 as well. It's almost like a full-time job, right? Your job is almost to play basketball. Was that tough to manage early on? Was it more than you expected?
So I had tried to mentally prepare myself for that part, but I don't think I did. Like, I don't think I could. I don't think I really fully understood how much of a job it was. Like, it was certainly a lot different than high school. And I don't think you can grasp it until you've done it yourself. So I'm sure Brandon can attest to that as well. Like, yeah, it's a lot. And it was definitely a transition, I'll tell you that.
What part of the game was the hardest? I know obviously there's a lot that goes into a basketball game, right, on both ends of the court, but what was like the biggest adjustment? Was it offensively, like ball pressure and like the quickness of guards, or was it defensively trying to keep people in front and work through screens? Obviously, you play against some big girls, right? So I think that changes things. I'm just curious, like, what was the I guess the first thing you noticed that was the biggest adjustment for you, like on the court?
I mean, yeah, definitely defense. I think that was something that I had to focus on. High school was Izzy, go get us buckets, you know?
Go get a bucket.
So definitely learn, like, you know, if you can't play defense, like, you're not gonna play, like, point and blank, period. Because at that level, I mean, there's people all around you who can go get a bucket. So if you're not gonna do everything that is needed or required, then it's gonna be hard to play. And so I think that was that part, and just the physical aspect. I never had to worry about getting through a ball screen in high school. I was never taught that in high school. And when I got to college, like, you're getting through ball. Gonna get around it somehow, or you're gonna. So yeah, that was definitely a huge difference.
Yeah.
And so ultimately ended up transferring to Arkansas State after that first year, right?
Yeah.
What kind of led to that, and what was that transition like?
Really, I just felt like I needed to get back closer to home, back closer to family. I really wasn't happy at Mizzou, and I think a lot of things went into that. I think a lot of that was on me, honestly. And so I just really needed like a reset and a reminder of who I was, and just really go back to my roots type thing. And so I think that was kind of what motivated that decision, and I think it was a great decision.
Yeah. I think we've all kind of had that at one point or another. Like I told you before, like I was coaching obviously at Arkansas State and Texas, and just kind of realized, it was fun working at that level. And,
Yeah.
you kind of realize there's more important things. And
Right.
so I know I've had that. I mean, Jaden and Brandon have both transferred schools, so
Yeah.
it's tough, but I think it's, like you said, just getting ahead of it and not putting yourself in a situation where you're not happy.
Yeah.
And so then Arkansas State, what was the experience there for 2 years? The growth in the game, obviously, but what was that experience like?
I heard their training staff was horrible.
The worst. The worst.
Oh,
Other than
no.
that, though, I'm sure it was good.
It was awesome. I tell them, Colin, I put on some muscle.
She did.
Yup.
Izzy put in the
Well,
work.
I did.
She put in the work.
Where? No, I love the weight room for real. Like that's one thing I'm like, I'm not gonna slack just because I'm done with basketball. I gotta find a way to keep up the game. So, but anyways, going back
Let's go.
to
Let's
going
go.
back to A-State.
I love it.
Yeah, I think those 2 years for me were just huge. I was able to play in front of my family every single home game. I really got back to just having fun with the game and being able to build my confidence back up. I think that was huge for me at A-State. And then, so like obviously my sophomore year, it was decent. Like I had a good, I guess, comeback year for me personally. And I really gained a lot of confidence back, and I felt free to play. I will say I think Des and the rest of the staff really enabled me to feel free and be who I was as a player. So I really appreciated that from them there. And then that second year at A-State is really where I guess things kind of exploded for me, because I think you just really get better with more time and experience. And so I think that was part of it there, but also is just like understanding. It just became a mentality for me. It was like every time I step out there, I don't feel pressure. I just felt very relaxed and free to do what I did. And at that point, I knew who I was as a player. And I think that showed up every single time I stepped on the court.
Yeah. What else led to that growth from year 1 to year 2? Because I was there that first year, and maybe it was just me getting out of the way that led to the breakout second year. But
That's what I was saying.
Oh my goodness.
What led to that one? Because I obviously knew you were a very gifted player, but I didn't see 25 points a game or whatever you averaged there coming that next year. So what else kind of went into that? Off-season work, coaching, what all went into that?
I definitely stayed in the gym, and just I fell in love with getting better every day. Like it wasn't like a chore or like a job for me to have to come in and do an individual workout. Like I love player development and doing individual skill sessions. So I did a lot of that. And I'm sure that contributed heavily. But also, aside from the physical work, I did a lot of mental training. Like, that's one thing I was introduced to at Mizzou was we had a sports psychologist there. And so there I really learned like the mental performance aspect of sports. And so I did a lot of mental training in between um my first and second year at A State. And I think that really unlocked another level for me is because I understood like, there's a lot of talented and very skilled players who don't have confidence or don't really, you know, believe in themselves or believe in the process or trust the process. And so they don't really amount to anything. And you can have all the skill and all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the confidence and if you're not mentally strong, like you're never going to reach your potential. And so I think I just really started to understand that between the second and first year. And my approach, I think it was all about my approach too. Like my approach the second year was I'm going to do whatever I have to do to help my team win. And that's what it was about for me. It wasn't about, oh, let me go out here and score 30. Like that has never been my mentality. But I've learned on those days where that mentality might try to creep in, like that's when things weren't as good. And as soon as I could recognize that and throw out that mentality, that's where I went back up. And so I think when you approach the game the right way and you have the right motivation going in, like those outcomes and results just take care of themselves. So I think that's what happened.
Two things. I want to come back to the mental thing because I'm really curious about that. But and I'm sure you guys have questions too. But you started with like the individual skill sessions, right? So it's probably like two phases, right? You're probably doing that in season 2, right? But obviously you're probably more practice time, a lot of film study,
Yep.
probably less individual stuff. But as far as like that between season phase, I think it'd be good for like if there's any basketball players that listen to this, or just from my own knowledge, like what that looks like for you, like how many shots, right? Is it once a day? Is it twice a day? Is it every day? Like I think basketball is different, right? Like football is a lot of like training weight room stuff, but there's a little bit less skill development. But basketball is so much about shooting the basketball,
Yeah.
right, and handling the basketball, and that just takes like a ton of time. And so
Yep.
I'm just curious, like, was there a number of makes per day that you were aiming for? Was there a amount of time that you were aiming for? Just kind of curious on that individual gym time that you were trying to hit. I'm sure some of it was structured through A State, but also I'm sure you were doing stuff on your own as well. So
Yeah, on my own, it was really, I didn't focus on a set number of shots. I would get on the gun and like to warm up my shot really. But other than that, it was just a lot of on my own working on my craft and like off the dribble shots, pull ups. I didn't aim for a specific number because I believe in quality over quantity and just being efficient with the time in the gym. And that's what me and one of my coaches at Arkansas were just talking about the other day is he told me he would like give him a guy who would come in every day for 30 minutes. He would rather have a guy come in every single day for 30 minutes than a guy come in for 2 or 3 days a week for 2 hours. Because that every day for 30 minutes is going to go a long way in the long run. And it's just better quality. Like, I think some people think you got to come in for 2 hours, go extremely hard and wear yourself out, or like just be soaking wet from sweat at the end of the workout to like have a good workout. And I think you can do that, but you can do it in a shorter amount of time if you're doing the right things.
Yep.
So yeah, I was
I'm
always
curious
about.
with your.
I was always about quality over quantity.
Yep.
Yeah.
With your specific like off-season training, were you kind of training to your strengths? Were you trying to be more well-rounded? What would you kind of focus on as far as like game improvement? Were you trying to maybe hit spots, be better off the dribble, focus on what you're good at, or try to like revolutionize your game? Maybe try something you haven't worked on in the past. I'm curious if you focused on something specific.
So I think when you get to this level, it's important to understand what your role is and what your strengths are, and to understand that they don't just stay there. They don't just get better on their own. Like, you continually have to work on them. And so when I was in the gym, it was a lot of continuing to try to build on my strengths. So I would focus a lot on creating off the dribble because I had the ball in my hands a ton, and oftentimes shots weren't being created for me. I had to figure out how to create shots for myself and others. So it was really about, being crafty off the dribble and getting into shots a variety of different ways off the dribble. And so yeah, really focusing on trying to build on my strengths, honestly.
From the weight room side, like you said, you enjoyed it and still enjoy it, and I always appreciated your effort and attitude toward it, especially I feel like we would always lift after practice, and Des ran the hell out of you guys, especially in the summer. So I appreciate you still getting after it. But I guess, where did that love kind of start, and what role did that play in your development?
Yeah. So I really got into lifting probably after my sophomore year of high school. I did a little here and there in sophomore year because we had like required field house days in the summer. So like every athlete that was a part of a sports program at Batesville, like you have to have a certain amount of field house days. So we would go to the football field house, and we would get our workout in with our strength coaches. And that's really where it started for me. I had also talked to my coach at Mizzou and like asked her like what do I need to be working on until, between now and until I get to Mizzou, like what do you think I need to focus the most on? And she had told me get in the weight room, build strength, build quickness, because that's gonna, make a difference in the SEC. And so I took that to heart, and I really wanted to maximize that and be the best that I could be in that arena. So I went to my strength coach at Batesville, who works with our football program there, and I told him like what I wanted and that I wanted to get stronger and faster. And I really then did that throughout the rest of my high school career, and I loved it. So
Nice.
I'll come back to the mental approach thing. So, or the mental side of things. You talked a lot about your approach, like going into probably games, and I'm sure within games you fall back into a scoring mindset sometimes, right? If shots aren't falling or you're behind and whatever. But like, I'm curious, like, what specific things you feel like you improved on? Was it pre-game stuff, right? Was it like easing your mind, like being more relaxed, finding that like good mental state pre-game? Was it more in-game stuff, like mental cues for when shots aren't falling, little resets, free throw stuff? Just curious, like where you saw growth, what parts of the game on the mental side of things you really, I don't know, improved on?
Yeah. Okay. It was a little bit of both, I think, pre-game and in-game stuff. Because when I was young, and especially at Mizzou, if things weren't going my way during the game, I could really let that show on my, like, through my body language. And like you could read my mind just from my body language, probably. Because that's what I will say I really appreciated from my coach at Mizzou. Is one time she sat me down, not really sat me down, but we were having a conversation one day after practice, and I was just talking about, like my shot this, my shot that. Like I was talking about being in a shooting slump, and she just looked at me and she was like, "It's time for you to grow up." And I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Okay."
Okay.
It's like she was like, "If you continue to wear like the mistakes that you make, she was like, it shows." Like she was like, "You really show it." And to me, like when I see that out there on the court, it makes me think I can't trust you. Which at the time it was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, like ouch," like that's harsh. But looking back, like she was absolutely right because I've seen that in teammates that I've played with. Is like if you cannot
Yeah.
get over a mistake, like, and you continue to wear that and you cannot move on to the next play, like, you're doing your coaches and your team a disservice. And so I really learned to get out of my own way. Number one, I would, come in when I was at A-State, and I would try to get in a very relaxed mental state before the game. So, like, I would meditate. I wouldn't listen to a lot of crazy, like, hype music. I wanted to be relax and just focus. And so I would be in a
Yeah.
really relaxed, focused mental state. I would concentrate. I'd put the game into perspective. Like, really, I would be like, this is a basketball game. Like, yes, I want to win for my coaches and my teammates, but at the end of the day, this is a game. Like, when I walk out of here, I'm going to be loved by my
Yeah.
family. The sun is gonna rise again tomorrow. So I
Yeah.
would just put the game in perspective and make it seem a lot less serious than it was. And I think that is something that helped me tremendously. And I don't think people like understand the value in that. And so that's what I would do before games. And then during games, like it was great. It was easy when everything felt like it was going right. Right. But when it felt like I had those games where people were kind of keying in on me a lot more, trying to make everything tough for me, and maybe shots weren't falling, um, I would have to, I think, reset myself kind of using breathing techniques, honestly. Like, I would um, just breathe in, deep breaths for like 1 or 2 counts, let it out, and kind of refocus on the present moment and just try to stay grounded in the present moment. And so that would take away my negative thoughts on things that were going wrong, and it would refocus me on the mission. And then that's what allowed me to snap back into the zone. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
making
Perfect.
sense
That's exact.
good
coming
stuff.
out.
No, that's exactly what I was just curious on, right? Like I think those little reset techniques, I think breathing super important, right? Probably more important than a lot of us realize, and just like what that does internally to our brain and just getting us back relaxed, and like you said, just putting the game into perspective. I think all that stuff's really beautiful, and I'm sure made a huge difference for you, right? Just resetting, right? Not letting the emotions get too high. It's just basketball is like, I would say it's a game like right in the middle of like chaos and order, right? Like you obviously got to play hard and you've got to create chaos for the other team, but there's also like an organizational, right? Like aspect to it. And it's like football is like go, right? It's like go run into somebody for 6 seconds, like just bat out of hell. Obviously, you have a job, right? And there's an assignment for you to do, and you need to do that. And so there is like that mental piece, but it's a lot like just go like crazy. And basketball, like you might play for 3 minutes straight, so you can't allow yourself to be so high, right? Or emotional because the game keeps going, right? And
Yeah.
so being able to, even within possessions, like just reset, right?
Yeah.
And play a possession at a time, because it can get very up and down and it can get sloppy and you can turn the ball over and, then they're up again. And so I think all that stuff is just really interesting. And so from somebody that has had as much success on the court as you do, I just think I'm just learning too, right? Like, so I coach at All Iowa Attack, right? So I'm the boys director. Obviously, our girls program has been very good. So like Caitlin played for us, right? Like Addison Bourne, Jenica Lewis, like all these girls that are coming up are really good. Sahara at Oklahoma, but like KK at UConn. So like,
That's awesome.
it's just I was just am trying to find things that I can help our players with, right? And try to teach them the things that you learn in college, right? Hopefully in middle school, right? And
Yep.
whatever, and just kind of speed up the game that way. So no, that was exactly what my questions were, or the reason for it. So that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Like you
So-
said, teaching those younger kids that, just always thinking next play, next shot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even I train kids at home and like young ones, and I can tell when their mental is not good. Like I can tell after they shoot a shot, like it is so easy for these young kids to like get so down just about missing a shot. I'm like, dude, just shoot
Yeah.
one. Like it's not that deep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm curious, like, so we obviously are kind of skipping forward. We go back to Arkansas because I'm curious too about this season. But you're done playing now,
Yes, I am done.
or do you have another year?
No, not that I know.
So you're
I mean, like all of that stuff is, I guess, up in the air with the extra year. I don't really understand all of that. So as of now, I understand that I'm retired from playing.
okay.
Well,
Do you have you're training right now? Like, is that something you want to continue to do? Do you want to continue to be around the game? And obviously, you've got a ton of knowledge and experience. So I was just curious, like, if that's something that you're passionate about, or if you want to get away from it a little bit, or
yeah.
where you're at with that.
I don't know. I think I'm really trying to figure it out. Obviously, basketball is
Yeah.
my passion and has been my passion for so long. It's been just everything that I've done. Like it's been all I've done for the past 7
Yeah.
years. So, but I love training kids. I love being around the game and just trying to pass down, what I've learned. I know like all that I was saying about the mental stuff, like it's easier said than done, like for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think if I can just help them see and understand the value and importance in it, like it'll hopefully make a difference down the road when they're older.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I'm
We
really
get
curious.
to-
I'm really curious about Arkansas. I'm really curious
Yeah.
about how you did what you did this year. I think that's just insane.
yeah,
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
That's absolutely bonkers, yo.
Yeah,
How did you do it? Like, what? I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Mad respect. How do you do it?
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I think, when I was being recruited here, I asked Coach Neighbors, like, well, what do you want from me? What do you need? What do you need from me? Like, what do you want my role to be on this team? And he told me, he said, I don't want to change anything about you. I want you to come do here what you have been doing, where you've been, where you just came from. And I thought that was really important to me because I think, my freshman year, I kind of lost sight of who I was as a player. And I think young players need to understand their value and like what they bring to a team, because I think there are a lot of coaches who want to change players to I don't know, fit what they want. And it's just like, okay, well, if you understand who they are as a player in the recruiting process, and if that's not what you want, then don't recruit them. Like that's kind of how I've been thinking about it. And so Coach Neighbors knew who I was as a player, and he wanted me to come in and be who I was. And so that was important, and I understood that, and I continued to work. I didn't come in thinking like, oh yeah, I have a spot. Like I'm going to start. Like everywhere I've been, it's like, no, you got to go earn the spot. Nothing is ever given. And so I came in and I just learned, that's what my team needed, is like they needed me to be who I was, which is a scorer. And obviously I was a point guard, like I had the ball in my hands a lot. So what my focus was just making the right reads and trying to help us win. And so I think I just understood really angles and my skill and what I could get away with against the players that I was playing with. Footwork is huge for me at my size. And so yeah, a lot of stuff. A combination.
Yeah.
Lots. Yeah.
How would you describe like the strengths of your game or kind of your go-to? Obviously, getting to the free throw line is a big part of your game and making free throws. But how else would you describe your play style and how you score and produce?
I think I've heard a lot of like it's a lot of deception in my game, so a lot of craftiness. I've gotten a lot better at understanding like you don't have to be the fastest. Like it's not always you. It's like it's not one speed all the time. I don't care if I don't care if you have like cheetah speed. Like you can't be that fast all the time. And so like I understood like what is really dangerous and a threat to defenses is change of speed and change of pace. And so I really learned how to use that in my arsenal and yeah, just continuing to build on my ball handling and maneuvering, getting where I needed to get on the floor, and then just creating shots.
From the free throw thing's really interesting for me. That's a focus for you? Like, is that something like getting to the line is something that I'm constantly trying to do? And then how do you, at your like height, right? Like, how do you make that happen, right? Because obviously a lot of people, shorter guards like get into the bigs and they get swallowed up, right? Or they're throwing up tough shots, right? And like a lot of times, even though I'm inside the paint, it's not really a good look, right? Like the girl was planted, she's there, I try to go through her and I don't get fouled, then it's just a bad two, right? Like, so how was that a focus for you? And then how did you do that consistently? That's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever like I have to get to the free throw line. It was just I have to understand how the defense is guarding me right now, and like even at my size, that's one thing I'll say is like I've never shied away from physicality, especially in college.
Yeah.
Like I welcomed it a lot, and so I just really understood how to. And I worked on in my individual workouts, like how to get into my defender's body and kind of absorb the contact and still be able to finish instead of like fading from it, which I think is what a lot of people do. And so I just understood like if somebody's riding the side of me, I'm still about to get to this rim. Like they're not going to stop me. And if they do try to stop me, they're going to foul me. And but I also had to understand like how I was gonna like maneuver like my layup. Like if they're going to block me from over the top, well then it's got to be a scoop, or sometimes it was like same foot, same hand to get my defender's timing. So it was really a timing and just not being shy from contact.
Yeah. We got into it a little bit before we started recording, but I'd love to hear more about just like dealing with the Achilles tendonitis throughout the career and battling through that. I'm curious, like when did that start and what was it like just having to get used to that, I guess, throughout your career?
Yeah. So first of all, it's crazy because I never had any like foot Achilles issues, anything like that in high school. I had quad tendonitis, like quadricep tendonitis in both of my quads. But when I got to Mizzou, like it was right before season started. Like I had started feeling pain in my left Achilles. And I was like, oh, like, it'll go away. Like I didn't really say much about it. But obviously, like, you get to college and your load, like the physical load that you're putting on your body is a lot more. Like, it's not even comparable to high school. And so I think just the load that I was putting on my feet was a lot, and I ignored it. And by the time that I said something about it, it was kind of like to the point where it was, there's not much you can do about it. And so
Yeah.
really had to learn how to take care of it after games and after practice, and then, the proper like warm up before workouts and practice. But it was really, it's really something that doesn't go away. It's kind of a nagging thing. So I dealt with that. All through college. It's gone back and forth between my left and my right for some reason.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jade, do you have any clues with the quad tendonitis? Do you think that plays a factor with everything being connected?
I mean, I'm curious. Did you like experience there? I'm assuming the team probably had a physical therapist, and you were working on some things. Was your dorsiflexion bad? Did you have tight calves? Was there things that they keyed in on that you were trying to improve while you were? Because in the season it's hard to manage load and let that heal because tendonitis is overused. So I'm curious if they tried to find ways around, maybe use modalities, use things during the season to help that. I'm curious what they kind of worked on with you.
Yeah, we did a lot of, like, all through my career, I've done a lot with my athletic trainers, done a lot of, like, trying to strengthen my calves because all of them have said the same thing. I have extremely tight calves. And so we've done a lot of rehabbing and trying to strengthen my calf muscles. We've done a lot. I can't even remember all the stuff that we've done, to be honest. Like, I will say,
we tried a lot in the 1 year I was there, so I can't even imagine.
Everywhere, then, like, my athletic trainers that have done all that they can, they've tried everything to try to fix my Achilles, and honestly, it's just not worked.
Did you have any other injury? Didn't you break your toe or something?
Oh yeah,
your junior year. Did you have any other injuries throughout your career?
Oh, I broke my middle finger on my right hand my junior year, and that, I'm telling you what, people don't realize how much you use your fingers until you can't. Like, it was, I couldn't even put my
shooting hand or no?
Yeah, it was my shooting hand. Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. The injuries I've really dealt with have just been like nagging tendonitis type stuff. Yeah. So I've really been fortunate.
Yeah, for sure. We got it a little bit into what's next for you and kind of eyeing basketball, but I'm curious was a consideration for turning pro like throughout this last year or throughout your career?
Mm-hmm.
Were you considering that heavily? Did you consider that, or are you more so just at peace with moving on to something else?
I was considering it a lot more this year, especially as people, agents had reached out to me, and then even my coaches here were kind of encouraging me to go do that and get that experience. But I just think I'm really at peace with being done playing, with just where I'm at and where my body's at. Like, I think I'm good with being done playing. I think I would love to stay around the game in some capacity because I loved it, and that's what my passion is and has been for so long. And I love being able to impact others positively. So I feel like I do have some knowledge and experience that maybe could be used to share with others.
For sure.
Okay.
got something, Brian?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions. You need a bucket. Do you want a ball screen or do you just need space?
Give me a ball screen. I love working with a ball screen.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Same idea. What's your go-to move? Ball starts in the left. Ball starts in the right. Hezzy, what you get into? What's like the staple?
Yeah. I would say my go-to is either an in and out cross or just a drop cross. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, drop, cross, jab, go. Get past them.
Left to right or what?
I like going.
You trying to get to your right hand?
I'll say this. I would always start with the ball in my right and get to my left. And then I would like
Okay.
to do a little
Okay.
scoop layup with my right hand.
Yeah. I'm with it.
Yep.
When you played ball screens in college, did you have to get through a lot of them, or did you like what's kind of your favorite way to defend a ball screen? Obviously, it probably depends on what the big and the guard, right? Like if the guard can shoot or not, and how you play it.
Yeah.
Also, if the big can shoot, if they're picking and popping, but like I don't know what's kind of.
Mhm.
I think it's always just an interesting thing and so hard to guard, right? Because you like getting to a ball screen, so it's like I live in the AU world, and so it's like everything's ball screen. So I'm just trying to be a student here. So.
Yeah. No, like that's what I thought about a lot in college is like, okay, I know if me as an offensive player love using ball screens, that means the defense probably hates guarding it. And yeah, that's how I felt when I was on defense too. Like I hate guarding ball screens. But it really just depends on
It's so tough.
personnel. I'll say like for me as a guard, I love if our bigs are like hedging a ball screen because that kind of takes the pressure off the
Yeah.
to, solely be relied on to get under the screen or like over the screen, but that big can kind of relieve a little pressure and give me a little time to get back so that I don't look completely cooked. I would say that.
Yeah.
The heck.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And maybe you don't have any. I always struggle with this when people put me on the spot, but like, you mentioned like the conversation you had with your coach at Mizzou, like as kind of a quote that, right, you need to grow up or whatever, right, or whatever, and that resonated with you. Are there any other like quotes that really like you come back to, or things that coaches have said that you come back to that kind of have stuck with you? Just curious.
That's probably something. I'm sure there would be a lot if I just sat down and thought about it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
hers, it's time to grow up quote is something that stands out to me just because I see how relevant it is in our day and age
Yeah.
of sports. Especially
Yeah.
at college
For
level.
sure.
Like I think with all the NIL and stuff like that, I think it's really easy for kids to kind of get entitled and a little bit of an entitled attitude. And at some point they're going
Yeah.
to grow up. So I think that
No doubt.
that's a quote
No doubt.
that's a quote that will always stand out to me for sure.
Yeah.
And then I will say,
Yeah.
Coach Neighbors said something to me this year. He said his grandpa would always say, it's better to not have received what you deserve than to get something you didn't earn. And he told me that in regards to the all SEC little snub. So I think that'll always stand out to me.
Snub.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
That's really
Say that
good.
again. It's better to receive what
it's better
you deserve.
It's better to not receive what you deserve than to be handed something you didn't earn.
Deserve. Oh, that's good stuff.
That's bars.
Shout out Coach Neighbors.
Yeah,
That's
shout
good
out
stuff.
Wow.
Neighbors.
I'm gonna be thinking about that the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, awesome.
Jane, you got something?
Jay?
I'm curious personally, playing in the SEC and playing at your level, was there anyone who maybe gave you problems, or who do you think the best player that you played against? I'm curious.
Like that.
Good question.
This year it was, I would say, Malaysia Fulwiley from South Carolina. That girl is
Dog.
not only very skilled, but she is a freak athlete. And those two things combined together, and she has a high basketball IQ. So those three things combined together,
Yeah.
you do not want to play against that.
Problem.
Yeah.
Problem.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious now that you're a washed up athlete like the rest of us, and that's kind of who the podcast is geared towards.
that's real.
What other
That was
what
so
what
soon.
what other I'm just saying, it's true. It's reality. There might still be a pro career ahead, but or the
Yeah.
NCAA will find a year out of thin air like they somehow seem to keep doing. But
We're still waiting.
I'm just curious what other hobbies or passions you have outside of basketball. And I know your faith is important to you, and obviously you like staying active and working out.
Yeah.
So I guess how do you take that passion from basketball and apply it to other things?
Yeah. I think it's just, I think I understand what my identity is. Like you said, my faith is extremely important to me. So understanding who I belong to, which is Jesus Christ, like I think now I can move on and be okay and get into my other interests and passion, because, me and my mom were talking about this the other day. Before I started playing basketball, I had a lot of interest as a kid that once I got kind of serious about basketball, it really took away from all those other things. And so I'd really like to get back into those. And like, I was a big outdoor girl, so like I love being outdoors. I love going on hikes, going to the river, going to the lake, kayaking. So I'll be doing a lot of that this summer. And then just being around kids and helping them get better in basketball and just positively impact their life. And that's what I'm really passionate about. So
Yeah, it's good stuff. Obviously, like, you had a great career and basketball is a big part of your life, but it's still such a small piece of your life. And so I think having your identity and passions outside of that, I think that's a big deal and something to carry you forward, because not everyone has that, and they kind of, after their career, lose their way. So I think that's huge to have. Any other questions, guys?
No.
No?
I was just gonna say, no, it's just it's a joy to listen to you speak and hear from your experiences. And I think, like Colin said, obviously, the next phase of your life might take different form, but I think you also have a lot to teach young men and women about the game and all that stuff, right? Translates to life, right? So when you get frustrated with life, taking a couple deep breaths, right, might just apply to outside of basketball just as much in basketball. So no, I think you could have a huge impact that way. I think that you're very intelligent and well spoken and have great experiences that could definitely make an impact on people's lives. So I'm excited for those stories to begin, right? As those young players that you work with start to grow up, and it's not about you, but there's obviously certainly a piece that you gave them that would impact them. And I think that's really rewarding. And I think that would be really neat. And if you ever want to run a camp up in Iowa, let me know. So we got 12 brand new courts, and I'd love to get some kids in front of you so they can hear what I heard today. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you'll kill
Awesome. Very much appreciate you hopping on with us, and it was awesome to be part of your journey just for a brief year, but enjoyed following along the rest of your career. And just appreciate you hopping on and dropping some wisdom. So
thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah. All right. Till next time. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a rating, review, or tell a friend to check us out. Be sure to follow us at SHRP_training for more content to help you be your best self. Go be great today.